I get it, you're staring at a wall of rowing machines online, and the thought that you could end up wasting a decent chunk of cash on something that just sits there gathering dust is pretty unsettling. You probably have a few questions swirling in your head. Will this actually fit in my apartment? Will the workouts keep me motivated? Or am I just buying another piece of gym equipment that I'll ignore after a month? That hesitation is totally normal, and it's why I'm taking a few minutes to break down the Aviron Strong Series rower before you click Add to Cart. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. First off, the Strong Series sits in the sweet spot of what most home fitness enthusiasts are looking for these days. A machine that's built to last, but also brings a little bit of fun into the routine. Aviron has gone for a steel and aluminum frame that feels solid enough to survive daily use without wobbling, and the 22-inch HD touchscreen is basically a full-size tablet glued onto the console. That screen isn't just a placeholder, it streams classes, lets you jump into game-based workouts, and even lets you watch your favorite shows while you pull. In practice, that means you can binge a series on Netflix while doing a 20-minute interval, and you won't be constantly checking a phone that slides off the rack. The resistance system is where Aviron tries to differentiate itself. It combines air and magnetic resistance, giving you a range that tops out at about 100 pounds. The air side gives that classic rowing feel. The harder you pull, the more resistance you feel, which is great for simulating a real-world boat moving through water. The magnetic side smooths out the transition and keeps the noise down when you're doing lighter rows or just warming up. In a real-world scenario, I've seen people use the magnetic mode for a gentle recovery after a high-intensity interval, then crank the air up for a sprint without needing to swap out any hardware. Now, let's talk about who actually benefits from those features. If you're an apartment dweller who can't justify a bulky piece of equipment, the compact footprint of the Strong Series is a major win. You can roll it out of a corner, fold the footplates, and it sits on its own set of wheels, easy enough to store under a bed or in a closet when you're not using it. For people who thrive on gamification, Aviron's game-based workouts feel a lot like playing a video game where you're the protagonist rowing through virtual rivers and competing against friends. That kind of built-in motivation can be the difference between a 10-minute session and a full-blown hour of cardio. If you're a beginner who's never touched a rower before, the dual resistance system offers a gentle learning curve. You can start with the magnetic side, which is quieter and easier on the joints, then gradually introduce the air resistance as you get more comfortable with the technique. The on-screen tutorials and live-streamed classes walk you through the basics, so you don't have to hunt around YouTube for how to row properly videos. On the flip side, there are clear reasons to walk away. The 100-pound resistance ceiling is respectable for most users, but if you're a high-performance athlete training for rowing competitions, you'll likely outgrow that limit pretty quickly. Those folks typically need machines that push past 150 pounds of resistance to simulate the power output they need on the water. Also, the reliance on a large touchscreen means you'll need a stable Wi-Fi connection and a power outlet nearby. If your apartment's power strip is already maxed out, you'll need to find a spot for another cord, and that can be a minor annoyance during a sweaty session. Another practical consideration is noise. Air resistance machines are notorious for being louder than their purely magnetic cousins. While the magnetic component does soften the sound, the fan inside the air system still produces a steady hum, especially during high-intensity sprints. If you live in a building with thin walls, you might hear the whirring through the floor. That said, many users report that the noise is comparable to a treadmill or a standing fan, which isn't necessarily a deal-breaker unless you need absolute silence for a home office. From a durability standpoint, the steel frame and aluminum rails hold up well under regular use. The footplates have non-slip rubber pads, and the seat glides smoothly on the rail, so there's little chance of the seat getting stuck after a few months of daily rowing. The only wear-and-tear part you'll likely need to replace eventually is the flywheel belt, which is a standard maintenance item on most air-based rowers. Aviron doesn't hide the cost of that part, and you can order replacements directly from their site without needing a service call. Value is where the Strong Series really shines for the average consumer. You're paying for a machine that combines a full-size HD display, streaming capabilities, and a gamified ecosystem, all of which you would normally have to cobble together from separate subscriptions and devices.